Okay, and who shall we start? Shall we start with Genesis? Because you're up on the top row of my chart.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone have yours ready, so we don't have to spend time waiting.
Okay. No, yeah, it's ready. I just this is a new computer and I'm learning how to navigate it. Okay, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll start with my fabric boards. So this weekend I went to Mood and I found a softer alternative to the hemp that's still a natural fiber. It's a really soft, lightweight linen. I changed it just to fit the direction better, and I thought it would look better as a slip dress.
Can you make it bigger? Can you enlarge your screen?
Yeah.
I think what we need you to do, Genesis, is not see so much of your desktop, and you make the window bigger.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, so, and I also desaturated the image, which I also believe is more like along the lines of the direction. Okay. So instead of a vibrant like green that's like too like, oh yeah, it's too saturated, I went with a mossy green and like a desaturated aquamarine.
Okay.
But you're using 5 different laces here, right?
Yeah.
Is it necessary to use 5 different laces? Because when I'm looking at the one you recently got, the right one with the like kind of striped edge. Although to the right.
Here?
Yeah, that one. I mean, compared to that, you have the very delicate one to the left, all the way to the left. So if you, I don't know, because you have the actual swatches with you. So are they kind of similar in terms of the, delicacy or, delicate kind of feeling, or they are?
They are.
They are?
Mm-hmm.
Same color? Like a greenish gray color?
This is just straight gray. This is green.
Okay, so I mean, if you have actually swatches with you, maybe you can kind of lay them together if that works. If that doesn't really do any much, then maybe you can kind of get rid of one, because I don't think we need to use 5 different layers unless they are very different enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have a chunky lace, which is good, so it's easy to render. Because when it comes to like very delicate thin lace, it has a tendency, like when you render, everything gets very mushy, When you have a too mushy element and putting together, it's even more mushier, I would say. And if they are similar, it doesn't give you any kind of special impact when you put it together. Maybe their scale is different or something. I can't really tell because a swatch, sometimes you enlarge it. It's not actual scale. So you have to kind of, speak to yourself that, is it really working? Do I need this? Do I need all 5 swatches or not?
I think, Genesis, that it's in this area here that there's most question as to whether these things are very similar to each other, because this is chunky and this is delicate, but we don't know that these aren't all really similar. So maybe it's an editing sort of factor down there. Okay.
Okay, understood. Would you like to see my other fabric board?
Yes.
Okay. And this is my second color story. That's more neutral. I also incorporated this this blue that I would add to very minimally with applique.
What's the project texture of the blue?
The texture?
Yeah.
Number 3 is lace, isn't it?
It's lace, yes. It's a transparent lace. It's a it's a lot lighter without the background.
So you should have you should take a picture on top of like a 10 color. You have to put that maybe on the 5, so we can actually see the pattern. Because right now, because I don't have a good vision either, but it looks like a felting when I'm looking at your screen. So because you're not going to have a blue background, it's a lace, right? Either you have to have a background, either nude or like a 5 or 6, so we can kind of see the shape of the lace pattern more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
So Genesis, are these swatches, these pictures, are they pictures from the company, or is this you actually taking pictures of these laces?
I'm actually taking pictures of them.
Okay, so what it is even the ones like number 4, number 2, number 1 are all sitting on top of something gray. So unless that's the way that you intend to do this, that's I think what Sumi's point is, that the background's behind all of this stuff that's affecting their color.
Mm-hmm. So I think you have to put it on top of all of those laces. You should put either like number 5 or 6, or maybe half and half, so we can see how the pattern, the color changes. It depends on the background you're using it. I think they will be more efficient and they will be looking more like your picture.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it looks like you got rid of this color or this color, which was represented by a gold lace that he provided us last time, right?
It was, so the lace I found, so that lace is actually here, except it's because it's a single layer, it was desaturated by the color in the back, but it's actually like a gold.
Okay.
So maybe during the break time or something, just put everything together on the solid and then take just a one shot so we can kind of look at it quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
1, 2. I think it's my first. Okay, so this is my first illustration. I went with a transparent hem this week just to add like an element of like lightness to it, because I felt like my earlier designs were too heavy. So this is like a light mossy lace, and with the large lace on, like, applique on top of it, and with the soft linen as a base, this blue here.
I mean, I like your transparency here at the bottom, but still, compared to your actual swatch, when I'm looking at your illustration, I have to kind of rub my eye to see what's the actual shape and then what's the definition. I mean, the line that's defining the shape. So I think, you know, some of your lace is more clear, like something like this, very clear, and then you have a chunky lace that has a very, you know, definite, like a clear edge, right? I think that needs to be popped up a little bit here so we can kind of see what's going on. Everything, especially the upper area, it's very mushy. And then if you're looking at your flat, see that your lace is, if you're looking at your thingy here, like kind of going over like this. I don't know what's this line. Is this your nude? What is this for? What's that straight line for?
Oh, that's a back strap.
Back strap. Okay, so then your lace edge, I mean, compared to what you have, maybe if you're going more like kind of cut edge with definition of like a shape, you might want to draw a little bit more like that, just like your illustration. Otherwise, it's confusing.
Okay.
What it looks like is happening is on the illustration, it's kind of creating a cup with those laces, and on the flat, it's just creating a V. And if it creates what it's on your illustration, you will need some sort of net that goes across here to hold these things to it, okay? Because they won't hold. They'll just flop forward.
Okay.
Okay. So, but my first impression about this, though, is it's a very nice dress, but I have a feeling that Jill will take one look at this and say, it's all blurry again, Leah, what's going on? I can't see the definition of the lace patterns that are in here because it's very airbrushy.
Yeah, somehow the sad thing is this is the first time for me to look at the dress, but the blame comes to me, Leah, what's wrong with this dress? So my question is, okay, I'm gonna use the annotation. So this is like chunky lace, right?
Yes.
And then this is the chunky lace, right? So, and then here is the light, the delicate lace, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what about this blue part? It's just linen by itself, or it's overlaid with the delicate lace?
It's the linen by itself.
Okay, so that's gonna be cut out here, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that, I mean, I'm looking at this design as first time, that has to be defined at your flat, but I cannot tell that. So
Right.
you know what? Maybe you need to do more description on your flat. Like maybe you can kind of do a little lace description here. Or, so if that's your delicate lace and that's your chunky lace, I think you have to draw something where, somehow you have to describe that on your flat. Okay?
You can put a number, just like numbering system
Yeah.
you have on the
Sorry.
fabric store. You can do that. And also, when you have a chunky, some of the lace, we're gonna cut out the background, right? So you will see some of the skin kind of showing through the whole of the lace, right? I wish I can see that a little bit more on the chunkier side. I mean, your transparency around like a neck, the leg area, that's nice, but still maybe around like a bust area, something, maybe you can have a little bit more of the skin kind of coming through. So it doesn't look like a fuzzy, like a sweater kind of looking.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe today I can work on this rendering to help you and pop up, but maybe, maybe you can write down like more description, like which one is chunky lace and which one is delicate. Then, I can help it to, pop up the rendering a little bit.
So Leah, you know how Roman made a brush for the meshes?
Yes.
Can they make a brush for their laces?
Well, but the thing is, showing the background, the skin tone is hard part. I don't know if, yeah. But guys, good thing is, Nicole's coming for the afternoon, like 3 hours in the afternoon. So the good news is, just like you guys are logging to my Zoom for the afternoon, if you need a Procreate help, especially for the lace rendering part, you guys can go to Nicole's Zoom, and then you can make an appointment with her. I'm gonna write down her Zoom number. So she'll be here from 12 o'clock. So go to her room, just like, you guys come to my room, you go to her room, just be on her breakout room and they're waiting for her, and then she can call you in. So you can bring your individual lace and then ask her. And also, Genesis, I'm gonna be working on your lace too today. So, since you have better images with your fabric board, okay?
The dress itself is cute. I like it. It's like
the dress is nice.
Easy, like, maybe you can have a, flat wide, you can make it a little bit wider because it looks like on the figure, even with the consideration of the pool line, it's more comfortable than easy, but flat wise is kind of narrow. So I would just add just a little bit more of the width, but dress itself is kind of easy slip dress. Just more like a little bit rendering thing that needs to be clear.
What might be nice for everyone is if they're going to do their dresses like this with all these folds, then take from where we would pick it up. It's not going to be this wide, but I'm just trying to show you. Okay. And show us like how wide that could be picked up, because I did that for people's corrections in the lab so that they'd understand that it actually has more fabric.
Right. Okay. Next one.
Okay. So this is my second illustration. I haven't had any halters, so I thought it would be nice to incorporate that in the lineup of dresses. And also, Hansumi helped me break up the space on this on the body of the dress with these the delicate lace applique over the linen. And I also decided to go for a sheer hem, just like the illustration before. This?
Yeah, with the neck is filled in on the illustration. There's nothing there in the flat.
Yeah, the lace isn't shown here.
Okay, so you got to indicate that.
Yeah.
And then also like the bottom of the dress, you have a lace, right? Sheer lace. So that will have a little bit of the lace kind of scalloped edge, right? On your flat, you draw like a straight line, so you need to indicate that. And then if you're looking at your break line, I mean the space breakdown, like here, you used a very like a strong line. I mean, as if there's actually creating some sort of shadow, right? And then when you use all this strong line, but here, can we see anything? I mean, you don't have to line like really clear every single piece, but I'm sure certain area you will have a little bit more definition, so you can kind of see here. But that's a very strong contrast. You're doing very strong line here, but almost like a disappearing. So you have to go kind of in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
It's
erased.
okay. Just in that corner, it looks like you shoved the figure over so far that you're cutting off the edge of that part of the dress. It's making a different sort of silhouette than what you've got in your flat.
Did a good job on transparency and color match. It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's a pretty dress.
Very pretty.
Genesis, it's pretty and simple, easy. Just like it's not really clear on illustration, but the concept-wise, it's kind of easy to wear. And then you're showing the transparency, like lace kind of abstract kind of way of like and applying your lace, which is good, but we can't really see well.
Okay.
And also you have to do like a light rendering on your flat. It could be just like, if you're doing it by hand, you need to use like a pencil and then draw your lace pattern on the flat. So we could know exactly which piece is lace, which is bigger lace, what's the solid, the more clearly without asking so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to put the same thing. You have to put the number. Is this part like this one? I mean, just saying like number 1, then you have to say like a 1, like this is number 2, whatever that's system that you have.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have it. Otherwise, Leah should ask a lot of questions to you and me.
I said the text to Sumi. Sumi, what lace is this?
Don't ask me. I don't know. Ask Genesis.
Okay.
All right. Third one.
So the third one.
What happened?
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about it.
It's pretty color.
So I tried to layer the laces to create like an ombre effect. So the gold under the taupe, and then with like a hint of the blue.
So what's this like little kind of blur thing representing her in the stomach area? Why do you have all this like a blur kind of layers?
Overlap.
It's pretty clean on your swatches.
I think it was just a rendering mistake.
Then, okay, that's a rendering mistake. And then if you're looking at your flat, you're doing those like kind of diamond kind of looking shape, just see where's the point at the bottom. And then compared to your like your point right here, which is like off center to her right, but you're putting it more like to her left, right?
Oh yeah.
You flip. I think you flipped your diamond shape, and then same thing for the bottom part of your the lace too. It's a little different. I mean, if you're checking the space here and then checking the space here, right? So that will kind of give you a little bit confusion to your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just pay attention to those.
Okay. Yeah, I'll fix this one.
Yeah, and then like numbering so Leah can see what's going on. And then see that how, I mean like this, this is like a semi kind of A-line-ish for your dress here. But here, I know it will be closer to the body because she's wearing it. So that means you need to have a little bit more the pull line, right? Mm-hmm. In order to show your kind of thing is kind of collapsing, especially in between the leg. Otherwise, without any of those, then we are changing the silhouette of your garment.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. And then any drape?
Yes.
Did you cut out the background of your fabric that I asked? On your sample?
Oh, I actually haven't uploaded it.
But did you do it? Because I was asking, Erin, I was asking her, she showed this to me. So I told her, you can see that this like harsh line, that's a background solid. She need to cut out the background. And some of these, maybe she can cut out some of the solid area so we can see her color. And I told her to cover the crotch area. Then these, this part will be either like your solid, right? It could be, your solid fabric, right? But when you're placing your thing, because you're piling up your lace on top of each other, but there's no like kind of area, delicate area. We can actually see some of the skin kind of showing through, right?
You know what, Tim? This kind of image really helps me. I can see the scale. I can see the actual, the thickness of the quality. So if you have this, add it in my folder too. I can help, a lot with this kind of images.
So it would be nice when you guys create this, when you guys create this sort of stuff, that you're actually creating a flow that moves around the body. Because right now it's kind of going like, yeah, like that. So it's like a spot and a spot. It's not necessarily creating kind of a flow that moves our eye up the body. So even if this was to like end here, but it created a movement that then worked around the bust and up to the neck, would be something that's a little bit nicer and give us some sort of direction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then as you have like layer, I mean the layer is kind of connected, I think it's kind of good idea. You cut some piece, let's say cut up like some of these pieces for example, and then place it like here or something. So like it's kind of connected a little bit more, fill out the space in between. The red sample that I showed you from like David Meister, she has that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's chunky lace, sometimes whatever your lace underneath this one, whatever the pattern, like you can put it like, in between or something. So kind of gradually creating the pattern, flow the line, rather than like a too big chunk, not jointed properly,
Okay.
And I'd say for everyone that if you intend this area to be the solid, then you should have draped a piece of the solid in here, not the net, and then attached the net here and attach the net there to the solid so that we get an idea. Because right now, this makes me think this is all going to be nude instead of it being a solid sort of area. Okay, because it is important for us to see what that looks like bumped up against a solid, what these borders, what these shapes are going to actually end up being as they bump up to a solid that happens inside there. Okay, that's just for everybody.
But Erin, so what if, let's say she wants to, I mean, it's for everybody. Let's say she wants sometimes she wants to put the solid in between, but sometimes maybe she want to bring it up to the, like around the neckline area, actually showing some like a nude color skin. Then in that case, what do we do with the sample wise?
Well, you could lay this on top of a solid, or the solid inside there and cut some solid pieces so that it's removable. You can do that. Mm-hmm. But it's like, unless that's something that you intend to have sheer in there all the time, like I have sheer in there for my neckline, I might have sheer in there around my hemline or something like that, then you need to see what those things look like up against a solid.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
I'll fix that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all I have.
Okay, so Natalie is next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Share my screen. I guess I'll start off with my drape. For my drape, I just focused kind of on the upper part, and I wanted to make it follow the lines of my oil spill picture.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the different layering with laces. I still need to sew it down because I just have everything pinned, but
yeah,
this helped inspire me for my designs and like other treatments. And then I'll just go to my illustrations. For this one, I focused back on my sample from last week that I corrected, where I cut out the in-between part because I know both you and Jill were talking about that. So it matches my picture more. Mm-hmm. And then this one's.
Natalie, for this one, are you actually doing the like a little dipping in the front and the back? So like a longer in the front and back and a shorter at the side?
Yes.
So from the side, you will have like, let's say if this is a side seam, you will have this thing, right? Shorter, the shorter point. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay.
You're gonna need seams in this though.
Okay.
You're gonna need something, oh wait, I gotta get my annotation going here. Hold on. You're gonna need something that happens here probably. You're gonna need something that happens in here that you're gonna cover that with the lace. This is gonna be covered by the lace. You might even need in the body of this that falls into the folds, some sort of seam that goes down there front and back so that we can get all of this circle going on there. Okay.
Okay, so just more more panels to make more fabric.
Yeah, but I mean, you at least need some sort of princess panels there to like get us to spread the fullness around. Okay.
So where's your fabric? So this is your treatment sample, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, because I'm seeing like some of the lace here, but it's not here. So I'm not sure what actually you're using. This is a chiffon, and then you're adding a lace at the bottom, because I cannot tell clearly because it's a little different from here to your flat.
Yes, sorry. Because I should have put the fabric next to my treatment because I'm using all the fabrics from the treatment.
Oh,
Where it's the chiffon and then there's the pre-pleated tulle on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to
I
do
was
that.
trying to mention it too. I mean, Natalie and also the team, I know there's the treatment sample on the right side, but I think it will be really helpful if you put the plain fabric swatches at the bottom, like, charmeuse, chiffon lace, the piece of the fabric they're using in this specific dress. That could help to see the composition of the material. So, and especially you have like a lot of big empty space.
Okay.
Is it 2 layers? That's what I wrote there.
Yes.
Okay, so your flat only has 1 layer, so you've got to give us, this other layer that happens in here. And if that's the direction here, and label it, that's the pleated netting, and that's the chiffon or something, so that we know that there's more layers there.
Okay.
Okay.
And then for my second one, I used my drape for the treatment on here. And then I need to add my fabric samples to the bottom.
Okay, so what I would say about this is I think that it's appropriate and correct to put it in some place like here because it doesn't have a lot interfering with it. I'd say it's problematic as this starts to do all this folding and then you're putting this stuff kind of going into that. It could make it very heavy.
Okay.
So you might want to just kind of get out of it as you go to the hip and let this all just be a nice, pretty, easy drape. But I don't think that either of these two things look like each other.
It looked like a
I feel like this has got kind of a roundy sort of sarangi sort of shape, and this is very pointy and angular. I feel like the bodice length from here doesn't look like the bodice length from there. She's longer from my point to this point.
So on your illustration, it's a lot more lower hip line, like lower, but on your flat, it's at the waist point. So the proportion got really changed.
Yeah, so I think that actually if you could try to get that, it's prettier than the one that's in your flat.
Okay, I'll do those corrections.
And because your figure is so straightforward, you could probably just trace over that to make your flat, to tell you the truth.
Okay, and kind of just flatten out some of the...
Yeah.
Not only is this made out of the charmeuse or charmeuse, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, you don't have to have an underdress, so just trace as is, then you can use it, yeah.
So Natalie, what's going on here? Because I see on your illustration kind of wraps around, and it looks like you have a kind of pleating happening at the side seam. I don't know, but here it looks like kind of disappear. Here looks like coming into the one point, but here is more like kind of divided into like almost like a little sun ray, but here it's coming into the one point. What's the correct one in terms of your pleating?
It's the illustration. She has a slide picture that goes with the illustration.
Oh, so then maybe you should have put it here. That your flat is not really explaining clearly. Okay.
And then for this one, I wanted to kind of just bring out the silhouette because I don't really have any dresses that are bigger. So then for this one, I used my sample and my drape for the treatments.
So how are you finishing the bottom of this dress? Because that looks like it's lace laying on top of something, or is it just lace by itself?
Just lace, and I want to do kind of like a baby hem.
Yeah, that's not going to look very pretty. So what you're going to want to try to do is hopefully that lace has some sort of pattern in the bottom of it that you can kind of cut around so that it makes sort of a more organic hemline and you won't get those really straight lines, because a baby hem or like a shirt hem, here isn't going to be too pretty. It'll get thick and kind of bumpy as it goes around because lace has negative space inside of it. So if there's a way that you can kind of cut around your lace in whatever the pattern is, I'm saying I don't know what your pattern is, but if it has more of this sort of organic feeling to it and less of this straight line, it would be better. Okay.
And then the area here in the middle, what's the fabric? Is it transparency? Just one single layer transparency?
Yes, it's like a light. Sorry, I should put my fabrics.
Yeah, because if that, I'm hopeful it's not just a one single layer chiffon, because very close to her crotch area. If you want to do like in a sheer, maybe need to be like a multiple layer chiffon or something, not just one single layer.
Okay, so it needs to be like 2 layers of organza that help kind of create kind of one color. So if it's kind of a pinky and a beigey and, you know, creamy kind of thing, you know, it's going to make it a little less sheer, make it opaque. But if it's organza, it'll actually hold this structure because, you know, getting this width across here, you need something a little bit stiffer because if it's chiffon, it's just going to collapse and you're never going to get any of that shape.
Tim, I also have a suggestion. I mean, since this, you know, we're doing digital file and presentation, until we do the, you know, final packet, maybe I think it may not be a bad idea that why don't you guys put the swipe? Because I know that all you guys have a swipe during the process, and then this picture has a swipe. And since, you know, Aaron does know Sumi's team's work and then vice versa, maybe while we are working on the weekly progress, why don't you put the nice picture of a swipe here of, you know, your original idea, then we could see where the idea comes from and then we can understand better. And also it helps me a lot to see where the idea comes from. And then on the, you know, final edit stage or final presentation, you guys just delete this picture from your file, you know, not to show the Johnathan or, you know, whoever the, or even Jill. So, you know, but, you know, for that, you know, 7 weeks preparation that we can have the picture, then, you know, maybe for the team each other, then, you know, we can understand the idea better. How about
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So we can delete at the last minute to get rid of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Add it for next week. And then my fabric boards are the same. I don't know if you want to.
No, that's fine. Let's go on to our next person. Sumi, who's your next person?
My next person is
It's me.
Okay, so I'll have Ray go after you.
Wait, I thought I have.
So Kwan, you want to go? Or is
No,
that?
it says that I'm going after Natalie on the chat.
Yes.
So Elena and Anna's not here. Okay. Absent.
So for my drape, I try to focus more on like the overall shape in general.
So Kwan, it looks like in the bust area, you've got a lot of fabric because you're just kind of twisting up what yardage you have and you're not cutting any things away. So it gets to be a very full bosom on the left-hand side and a rather big knot kind of off center and a big chunky strap. So unless you're going to take the leap and cut some of that up to create that kind of area, then concentrating on this sort of cascadey drape and what that looks like is kind of better than actually giving me that bust sort of thing.
I recommend, Kwan, even though I know I saw your swipe on maybe this area, you might want to use your sample and then place that first and then see what drape you want to add onto that. Otherwise, it looks like a big knot and there's a big knot in the back. And then side view is very like heavy and like a little matrony because you basically wrap around in horizontal grain, wrap around the body. So that's not gonna work. So try to kind of integrate, maybe you can put your whatever, like the pattern, I mean the sample that you made, and then maybe this could be like more flat and cleaner, you know, and then like you can have, I don't know, whatever that your sample there. And then you do your draping. If you wanna kind of experimental with your draping, you can do that, okay?
Okay. Second drape.
This one looks a bit more successful. I would like the bust though for it to be not quite so heavy, and heavy meaning that there's a lot of coverage. She can have a little bit more open area in the sort of center. So you could take and actually kind of take away some of this.
Yeah, make it a little bit more sexy, more open up.
Sexy. And then your drape thing from the center, that looks like it's coming from here, will look nicer because this will be less and this will be less. Okay, and even your sleeves, you can pull that out and let that kind of come up.
Because what's successful about this dress, because we can see this area, we can see the negative space that makes the whole drape more delicate. Not so much of what's going on because we cannot see the weight. I mean the before she, I mean the Aaron draw. We can't really see what's going on in this area, but we can kind of see your negative space and can see the pattern, the lace. That's the like making the whole dress really nice. But that definitely, because you utilize your lace shape to your drape, even though it's not your the sample, which is better than your the previous drape, which we cannot see how utilizing your lace shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So into my illustrations.
I like this color story.
I mean, your color story is pretty. I like the way you're using more clear lace, you know, here. So it's rendering wise more clear so they can understand. What my one question, which I had a question for the lab day as well. What are you doing here? Is this, you're making your own pleating?
Yeah, the pleating.
Out of what, Georgette or chamois?
Georgette.
But you know that these are all like a silk. So how do you create your own? You are gonna send it out, but still it's not gonna be permanent.
Okay. So
I want everyone to understand that when you do send out pleating, it needs to be on a polyester fabric because it gets heat set into the synthetic and stays. If you do it on something that's more natural, like the silk Georgette or charmeuse or something like that, it will stay for the one time that you have it, and then after it gets cleaned or worn, it goes away. So you have to make sure it's a synthetic if you're going to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah. But with this case, if you're using the synthetic, what's going to happen? I don't know, you remember the dress that Amber did, like, you know, for the her final project, everything will be very stiff. It will be like shooting out, like you're really stiff like this because it's polyester, almost like a cardboard-ish after you do the pleating. I don't think that's what you want. So Kwan, you and I need to figure out what could be the substitute kind of way to keep the shape, but kind of more delicate way. I got just kind of one idea. I'm going to share that with you later. But the pleating is not a right idea when you have a natural fabric.
okay.
Your shape of the bust line and then how you use your lace is pretty.
Yeah, except for I think that you guys all want to watch out going right across bust point like that. It usually looks a little bit better if you kind of back it off a little bit from bust point so it's not going right over her nipple.
Okay.
Okay.
Next one.
Okay. So so this one, it's a little bit contrasty. I think it didn't really blend well with the colors together. It kind of looks choppy.
Yeah, but an actual thing, it shouldn't be contrast because if you're looking at this lace right there, which is over this fabric, so you have some of these darker color coming through, right? Here, you will see your skin color coming through because over her leg, right? And then somehow you're putting almost inflated like a tube in terms of rendering because you emphasize the highlights every single piece. Looks like you have almost a padding, like a nylon padding jacket. So I think you have to really calm it down a little bit, right? Because this dark layer is here and the middle layer is here. The lighter color is a satin, right? And the chamois that's up there, lighter color, and then everything is this lace. But we need to kind of see the color coming through, like more like integration of the color and tone, not emphasizing every single panel with a really strong highlight. Because when I'm looking at your flat, it looks prettier. But somehow on the highlight, I think you went too much. That's why it's kind of distracting. I think you can fix it.
Okay.
So here's something that I think that you can get rid of this little piece. And I think if you can continue this lace So it looks like this is shooting underneath this part and coming out this part. That's a better direction.
Right. Yeah.
And just let these fall on top of the colors or on top of the skin so they get a little bit darker. Okay. But then there would be a nice dress.
Yeah. There's a possibility. It's a nice one. Just rendering and then just a little idea fixing, as Aaron suggested. And they will solve the problem.
Oops.
Okay, next. Okay. So your lace, at the bottom, you use your white lace, and then your sample, you use it here, right?
Yeah, there.
But can you enlarge it, because we cannot see clearly that how you utilize your sample in terms of the placement. Looks like it's all over lace, but it shouldn't be. Right? It should be more like this, right, in your side, right? So enlarge it. I will just clean my.
It's not allowing me to enlarge it.
But you know what I mean? I think I did it on your the lab work. But you kind of try to do it, but see that your line is not like one, like, straight line. You have a little kind of branch coming out of it, but which you didn't draw that way. That makes it like a really stiff kind of looking. I think you have to kind of work on your side. I mean, this pattern, applying this to your body. And then underneath of this lace, what is the centerpiece? What is that fabric?
It's chiffon.
Then you will see the chiffon or cotton voile.
Oh, that area?
Yeah.
Oh,
that area.
cotton voile.
Huh?
Cotton voile.
Cotton voile, and then maybe because you didn't show your skin like coming through the hole here as much, maybe that's why it looks more like an all over fabric. But your drawing, I mean, on your flat is pretty. Delicate, that's nice. And then maybe on the area that you need to show a little bit more skin coming through the lace, that will be helpful.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to me because the lace color is almost skin color, and then it's very delicate lace. So in that case, if you start to pop up, then the lace is gonna get gray.
So can you put more like a skin color, just like a dot, whatever?
Maybe I think we should do a little like showing skin and almost that. Actually, that type of lace looks almost like a sheer chiffon or something. Sometimes when you start to pop up too much, that looks heavy. So,
yeah, I mean,
we're just going to show a little bit more skin tone then.
I mean, that's not a big issue. I'm more concerning about how you render this area based on your sample. That's very important because you have your skin color coming through more.
So Quan, is this sleeve made out of this sample?
No, it's not.
Is it made out of the white that's like this?
Yes.
Okay, because it looks greener up here.
Because it's the lace on top of the chiffon.
Okay, so is there a way that you could actually do that same sort of thing here on the bottom so that they kind of speak to each other?
They're like lace on top of chiffon?
So, yeah, because it'll make it look more like this. Because I get the direct connection between these two. I guess when you leave it white, it's kind of trying to refer to this, but I don't think that you need to. I think these two things need to speak to each other.
More like a blending, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can fix that.
So the shoulder lace, I'll make a little demo sample for you because that has to be separate. The two layers has to be separate. Right now, you just kind of put the two layers together as almost like a lining. So I'm gonna make a little, rendering sample. So it's kind of separate and hanging separately.
But your flow line, that's nice. Like you have this kind of line going like this. That's a nice kind of flow.
Yeah, that looks pretty. I think this dress is very nice. I just think that you need to get things to, because I don't want my eye to go right down to her hem. I want to follow all that stuff in her body because it's so pretty.
I agree. Okay, the flat's nice, Quan. You did a good job. The illustration's getting better. That's good too.
Okay.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you have what's number 4 illustration?
You want to see the fourth one? Or?
Yeah, if you did it, just show us. The extra one. Yay.
Extra work.
So you mentioned about the pleating. I might have to fix the pleating part for the illustrations. Because yeah, I mean chiffon it's still silk, so I don't think it's gonna
Right,
it's gonna be not well.
Because your focal point is here anyway, so you know we can kind of do different kind of way. And then here I like the look, the same issue, like your highlights, it's very evenly done, looks like some sort of treatment. So just go easy with that, more naturally.
Okay.
So your eye doesn't go to your inflated green like a padded kind of rib cage. It needs to be a little bit more natural.
Very shiny.
Yeah. Inflate, so she can float on the ocean.
Inner tube.
Yeah, but it's a pretty dress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Ray is next.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me get... Yes. Okay. Can y'all see everything all right?
I can see a page full of stuff.
Okay, cool. So I'll start with illustrations, I guess.
Okay.
Here's the first one. This is the my second color story with the more neutral shades, and I added in some blue for the water.
Okay, all right, great.
Can you make it a little bit bigger? Can you make your page a little bit bigger? So the teachers.
More or?
Yeah, that's enough.
Okay, cool. I like the second it gets more than that, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. The bottom part is really pretty the way you render.
Thank you.
You know what I could wish, and I'm now seeing this kind of colored up, is that, oh, we gotta like annotate, sorry. I could wish that some of this blue kind of crept under here just a little bit or something. Okay. Just so that I get a little bit of lace happening in the top so they don't look like it's chopped in half. Because it's prettier now that this is like working its way, going under the bust and going around the back. So just a little bit more inside of there, I think would make that look really pretty.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea. It kind of works with one of the other illustrations I did as well. So.
Wait, what's the color of the string here? And the color of the left shoulder is disappearing.
The color of huh?
What's the color of the string?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to draw on top of that. That's the cream as well.
Okay. I thought that's a skin color.
Oh no, my bad. I should have like done two lines.
But it's really up here. It's really nice here.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Thank you. Okay, I guess I'll go to the next one then. Yep. I might want to do a little bit more work on this. I'm not too crazy about it. But yeah, this is the first color story where it's like green, pink, some of the neutral shades started to blend. This week I kind of tried out layering a small portion of lace on top of like the other laces so you get a bit more of like not as drastic of a shift between colors. It helps blend it a little bit.
Okay. This area here is this one here, the chunkier one, chunky lace.
It's so, like when you see it, like the actual swatch is very transparent. Like it's yeah, it's very, very transparent. It shows through the color underneath a lot.
Probably because your muse has a dark skin color, maybe you need to take a picture that over like a darker color so we can see it. Because if the lace, the way you render it looks kind of chunky, then I would suggest maybe you can do more like a placement of your lace pieces over the netting or something. Right now it looks heavy. What you're saying is lighter, so I will trust you. But the way you have it, it's like you have a chunky lace just like covering the whole bust area.
Yeah, the actual like swatch is like, it has those little lines, but it's like very, very transparent and it's very light as well.
Maybe we can just lower down the opacity a little bit. I think that's going to be lighter.
Okay.
I think Sumi's point is this looks like it's very light and I can see stuff going through it. And this just looks like because the line work is heavier, it looks like it's chunkier. So however you do that in the computer, whichever way you're working, Photoshop or the iPad Pro, is just to kind of make that look more delicate like the one that's on the hip area so that it looks more delicate.
Okay, I can work with that.
Yeah.
Transparent is very nice, nice.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would just say that on the bottom portion here, this is all the green lace there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think especially when it hits over the leg, you need to get some real true definition because right now it reads a little bit more like a chiffon and less like there's a lace pattern inside of there.
Okay. Yeah, I might play with like the pattern size as well to try to get it a little bit more defined, but yeah, I'll do that.
But I think once we made those changes in the widths of the bands going across it, it looks more organic and it looks really pretty. And I like the transition. It looks like your beach picture. So I think that's really great. So, you know, nice job.
Thank you.
Good.
And it looks full enough. Like I believe the flat to the figure.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Love that.
Yep. Love it too.
And then here is the third one.
Yeah, so that's
this would be a nice communication to the other one, as you said that. But yeah, I did the gradient again. I still added in the blue. And yeah.
So what this line, is this in the back?
This is the netting right here. It would be the skin color.
Okay. So how do we, what's the proper way indicating your netting on here? So these whole thing is netting, you're saying?
Yeah, it should be. I can add in a little cross-hatching.
Cross-hatching something, otherwise it's confusing.
Okay.
So do that.
and you'll see it through the negative shape in the back too.
Mm-hmm. I'll add that in.
Yeah, okay. Pretty nice.
So on here, where is a bus point? A bus point is right there. Looks like if I'm
It'd be like right
here.
It'd be a little bit lower, but yeah. Okay. I can.
I don't know. It could have a little bit more integration of the blue. Maybe some of the pieces could be kind of like. Otherwise, she looks like lopsided. You know, she's got like some issue with the bus. She just had a surgery with the.
I think it's the fact, yeah, that we've got this clear line going through here, and what you want to kind of do is grow some of that over it, so it looks like it's actually integrated.
Okay.
So we wouldn't get that harsh line. This is going to be that kind of thing, appliqued.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, I like that.
We don't want bust surgery.
Well, some people do.
That's inclusive.
One side. That's only one side.
Here are my samples because I didn't get to show them the other week. I did the top from one of my other dresses where it's like ruched. I might do it another time where it's not as much gathering because I'm not sure how much I like this, but.
But is it necessary to make a sample for this one? Isn't this something you can just draw from the swipe? Unless you do some sort of applique or something, maybe fabric, like you're combining different fabric together. But what's the point of making this?
Okay.
So go back to your last illustration, please. Okay. So what I would rather see you do is. Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to zoom in and then it...
make me this, so I can see the net piece. I can see this growing onto the net. There might actually even be little pieces, like in my demo, that kind of grow off of it. I can see what this cup is going to be like when that gets appliqued with some of that. I can see this strap. This seems more like something I can't picture in my head as much as I can picture a ruched bra.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
And this was the applique one.
Okay, so this I would want you to take into studio class and see whether you can cut out some of the background that's filling up areas like this and this, this, so it feels like it's more delicate.
Okay.
And then you might even take and decide to cut apart some little pieces of both of these things and start, pieces just to help it kind of grow onto the solid. So that would be a way to take this into studio class and kind of embellish upon it.
Okay.
So everybody, so when you guys have lace kind of overlap together, what did you do? Did you like hand stitching over the, hold on, let me my notation.
Yeah,
like
it was mostly like hand stitched down.
Did you do it or no?
I did, so this one, because it was so delicate, I did some tacks instead of like stitching it all the way.
Yeah, you will do the hand stitching like there. So let's say certainly, as like Erin was suggesting, let's say if you want to cut out this background, before you cut out, you have to secure the hole first. So even after you cut out your background, it will be still there without like a flopping. Your lace will be stable. You have to plan ahead. If you're cutting like any of the parts, you need to secure it first, like hand stitching, secure, blah, 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 blah. And then you cut out the background. That's for everybody. You don't just cut out like randomly, then your lace will not be stable.
I mean, usually what I would do is I would put that on top of a net first, sew it to the net, then I would lay it down on top of my silk, whatever that is, so it's nice and secure, and then I cut from the reverse side the negative shape so that I've got net happening in between there, so it holds those lace shapes, but I get the transparency. And then maybe what you want to do to reinforce it is you put it on a hoop and you just take a little embroidery thread and kind of make some sort of decorative thing that happens, or goes, some sort of stitch thing like what Sumi was showing in our first demo to help secure that as well.
Yes.
Okay. But if you have all your supplies and you're ready for that sort of thing, your teacher can help you. Okay.
I do not have a drape, and I want to talk to you about that because I wanted to watch the demo, and Natalie and I don't have access to the nest still.
What happened with that? Because Natalie emailed me yesterday too. And Tony had that problem like on Friday or something. He had a student that couldn't get to it, and he couldn't get to it. I don't really understand. I went last night on there, and I saw you guys' names are on the roster, so you're on that section. I'm just not sure why you're not seeing it. That's
we can
weird.
see the class, but all that's in it is a syllabus.
The rest is just blank. Like I emailed Mitra about it and she said she doesn't know why we can't see it.
Don't like that office over there. The registrar is messing us up.
Yeah, technology.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're looking under C, that's the problem because there's nothing under C but the syllabus. If you're looking under A section, then you see everything. So do you guys have access to the A section?
It's weird because I see like when I look in the nest, there's like 3 different sections that it might be. I think I have C and I have A.
Yeah, so you don't look under anything C, only under A.
Yeah, but that still has nothing in it.
That's weird.
Yeah, the A one is the one blank.
That's weird. Because your names are on there and I can see that stuff is there. I went last night right after I emailed you, Natalie, and checked it. So I figured that there must have been some weird confusion, but we'll have to find out from Mitra why you guys can't see that. So yeah. Okay. All right, so let's have Sumi's next person. And then after Sumi's next person, Solene will be up.
So I can have Isabella.
Okay. So for this week, I refined my treatment. Like I distressed this lace here and tried to make it resemble the relationship between the ocean and the sand almost. This like distressing the lace and then knitting with lace strips and tulle, and then it progresses into like yarn.
What's after the yarn though? The dark part, is that a fabric? Because you
That's
cut off
a navy blue yarn.
navy blue yarn. So we need to see the whole thing rather than chopping it off, because we need to, I mean, it's nice the way, I mean, the picture wise, it's getting like growing into more like a dense kind of like chunkier yarn from the delicate to like a chunkier thing, but you cut up at the bottom. So we need to see what's going on there.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of, because I knitted it had a clear ending, so I didn't know if that was bad because it didn't like have like this distressed appearance to it, so I just didn't show it, but I'll include that for next time. And then the illustration that follows it is this one. I tried to do like there is a slip under and then lace on top, so the pieces are separate, and then there would be like a slit on the side to allow for the front and the back.
So the only thing is, last time when you do the illustration like a croquis of this one, you didn't have the like a sample, the one you did, right? So you should kind of copy paste your sample right there, right next to this illustration. So if there's any discrepancy, you have to fix your rendering. Could need to be based off your sample, which you didn't have the way it is today. So, you know, we can't really tell. You need to have your sample right next to it. Picture.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't look similar, so I didn't add it. I wanted to try a different sample that looked more lighter and not so heavy for next week.
Okay.
And then the second fabric board, I refined my last treatment that was really heavy with like this type of crochet lace, and instead made a treatment with the lighter lace, kind of emulating like what I see in my photo, like with the rocks.
So can you put your swatches a little bit closer together? Because right now we have a lot of empty space in between negative space. So I mean, I like the way you kind of overlapping your lace over the your ombre silk, which is nice. But you have a lot of these kind of negative space. Just put it a little bit closer together so we can look at it better.
And then this illustration, I did the ombre silk as like a base, and then layering with tulle to kind of like Jill gave us swipes last week, and I was really inspired by that. So I wanted to take that, and then the lace here, kind of like applique on top. I have a seam that comes from this so that we can create the fullness. But it does, like, I did illustrate it so that it gets lost in the waviness of the tulle.
So how many layers of tulle are you using for your skirt here?
Hopefully a lot, but I didn't want to keep drawing a bunch to confuse the flat. I didn't want it to be messy.
Like, let's say if you're using 10 layers, you don't have to draw 10 layers here, but then you have to still draw some like some, so we know that there's a multiple layer, you have to draw here, because it's pretty here. You did a pretty good job, like a transparency, that's good, but here looks like, a different story.
Okay.
Isabella, and then also, people whoever's going to use the layers of transparency. Okay, the thing is, usually the center part's going to get like, I wouldn't say like darker, but that has to be the denser or brighter, depends on the color and then the quality of the fabric they're used. And then it goes to the side, it's going to get like diffuse or get lighter. Sometimes, we use like heavy or, the bold line to the side that makes your garment looks either bigger or, it's going to get heavier. So your focus is going to be on the center where the figure is, and then make it kind of lighter and then kind of little like a disappearing effect. So maybe this dress is about, I'll just fix the drawing. And then also there's a way that you can draw the flat, either as Sumi said, maybe we can draw some lines inside of the dress, or we can use a little bit of the shadow effect. So we can see there's going to be more layers underneath. So I'll fix partially so you can apply that to your next flat. Okay.
Thank you.
So look at this space up here under her bust is very long. The space up here is very short. And then if this gets to be a little bit higher, it'll make the skirt look longer and her look longer. So it's more flattering. So you kind of got to move that stuff up, because when you drop it really low down in here, it goes into really kind of the longest portion of her hips, which isn't going to be so pretty. And you always try to bring on anybody who's curvier and more voluptuous, you like try to bring that up towards the bust, up more towards her décolleté, so that she looks more graceful.
Yeah, there was something off about it that I couldn't like figure out, but it was, yeah, the lace.
Could have a little bit more depth, not this way, some sort of like a bust. Oh, not that one. Because she has a full figure. I'm sure she has some like a shape. So
yeah.
It could be like your shadow, but starting from your brow line and then do something, you know what I mean. I don't know why it's doing double breast there, but I know what I mean. So she looks like beautiful.
And then the second illustration for this story, I should have put my treatment here, but it was the applique of the lace. It does get lost though in my rendering, but I will attend the lace meeting because I need help with that.
Yeah.
And it's a simple but a pretty dress. And then on your flat, I mean, I know she has a full figure, but if you wanna kind of carve it out a little bit, just like your bust here, just a little bit less portion for your solid, which make her bust a little bit more sexier.
Okay, like make more lace instead of the solid.
Yeah, so you can drop it a little bit more, so you will have more lace, and then you can show. I mean, just again,
it's very pretty dress. Yeah.
Because I don't know, you know, I don't know the lingerie habits of your generation, but my generation and a little closer to it, they go in and they look at like really expensive bras when they've got the money to buy an expensive bra, and they look at like these demi cups that actually kind of push you up and out. And I know today's generation probably, I mean, I don't even know where pantyhose went. People probably don't even buy those anymore. So I don't know what people are buying, but definitely a demi cup just gives her a more flattering chest, and it kind of pushes everything out a little bit. So it makes her kind of sexier. So if we don't get such a big cup, we get more of what your flat's doing. It'll be really pretty. I mean, it's a pretty dress now as it is, but it can make it just a little bit sexier.
Yeah, I agree. And then my drape was inspired by the pinkish photo. And I tried to do like the applique treatment. I mean, I made a separate treatment, but I tried to apply it to this drape as well so that I could see it on the floor.
Isabel, can you zoom in so we can see?
Yeah.
See a lot of background, but not the actual.
It's kind of pretty.
It's pretty. It's delicate.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
What it looks like to me is there's a nice movement going from here to around here up to your bust. That looks pretty.
Then I also drew it for a croquis this week, so like I could potentially like want to illustrate it because I really like the way it came out, just like as a dress. This is interesting because I kind of ran out of fabric.
Yeah.
But,
well, you resolve that and make that up in your design, but what's starting on that top layer and what's starting around that bust is very pretty. So, yeah, and it should lead to you wanting to say, "Oh, I want to make a dress out of it."
Yeah, this definitely like the exercise helped me more because I was feeling a bit lost in terms of like how to make the lace move around the body, but this helped me like get my mojo back, I guess.
For some people, it's going to do that.
So maybe you should take a picture just for your reference. But put like right now, you put like a pinkish, like a toner underneath. Try to put other color underneath. See how that comes out. If you're doing it like more, let's say the coloration of the green, whatever other color, see it and take a picture. Maybe your lace will pop out different kind of way. I mean, the way it is pretty, but when you apply to different kind of color combination, that might be kind of useful. So take a
like the blue ombre one.
Yeah, whatever other solid color that you have, to put it underneath and then save the picture so we can kind of have reference.
Okay. And that's all I have. I think that's it, right? I hope that's it.
Right.
Yeah. Very nice job.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Soline.
Hello.
Hello.
Sharing screen.
Okay.
So this is my drape.
Okay.
I tried to move sort of the lace at the bottom to kind of resemble the shape of coral moving around. And then I gave also a very uneven hem that like wiggles like the coral, as well as my bust. I gave it a curve, and then I added lace on top. Kind of struggled with the drape, but
So it's nice. I would say just to kind of help kind of make things move forward is, and you can get help with your studio teachers with this, is in this area, if you can cut out some of the background inside of there, because there's no modesty that we have to deal with there. So we can actually see some skin, that would be gorgeous. And it would help it kind of relate more to the one that's happening on the bottom so that they don't look too different. You also take some of this kind of greenier stuff and kind of intersperse some little pieces of it, not a full line, but just so that you get some of that down inside of there too. So that, again, they speak to each other. But I think it's a nice start, you know, and bravo to you for actually cutting into that solid fabric and putting some lace up against it.
What's the baby color? Is it a chameuse, or what's the base color here? And base fabric?
The base color is a silk, I believe.
Silk what? Silk satin or silk habatai or silk what?
Silk satin, I believe.
Silk satin.
It's quite light. That's why I had difficulty, because every time I tried to cut it, it moved all over the place. Yeah. And then to sew it was like very difficult.
I'm surprised that a satin, that you could find one that's light, because they're usually, you know, a little bit heavier, so they like drag down. That's why they make bias dresses with them, because you can really get them to cling to the body because they hang so heavy. So, you know, nice that you found something that's light to do that with. Probably a silk habatai or an 18 mummy silk or something would pick up more air when she walks, so that you get more kind of drama and fullness.
It moved quite well. It's like, it's quite light. Maybe it's something else. I just remember it's in the silk section of mood.
Well, but there are many silk things. We always want to know what it's going to be. But I think, too, you're going to need, and I don't fault you for not putting it in here if you didn't, but in here, we're going to need some sort of seam work, front and back, to help us get panels. And those can fall into the folds, and we won't actually necessarily see them. But definitely we want to spread that out so that we do get, when she like takes a twirl around and on the runway, we get some movement. You know, not that you don't have movement in it now, but you can get even more movement.
Also, like as Aaron did, like in his demos, like he put like a little tool tape toward the end of the skirt and pull out to show how much volume that he has. You know, that's a kind of, maybe you should take a picture like that way for your picture of your draping, and then you can actually do here as well.
I wish I had more volume, but I struggled adding it in with.
You would, unless you put in panels. Like my drape had panels in it, and maybe because I'm older and more experienced with draping, I'm not as afraid to do that, but you guys might be. And I know you also have a fabric issue, like you don't really necessarily want to go out and buy more to spend more money and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, for definitely the design, we want to throw in those panels if we can't get it in the drape. Okay, but nice job for your drape.
Thank you.
Try. Good.
Okay, so then my fabric boards are the same. I made another sample for a neckline, and I did like because in one of my designs I have two laces that are on top of each other, and one of them is ruffled. So I ruffled it and like stitched on top of it. And it's also stitched on a mesh on top. And then it's stitched to a solid fabric at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice that you have this area. It's kind of nice gradation from solid to your lace. That's pretty.
Yeah, because I would say maybe for like doing it in studio, you could take some little bits from these parts and kind of, kind of dance them around here.
Okay.
Just so that we get a balance, because it looks a bit heavier on this side and lighter on this side. And if we just kind of make it look like it's disintegrating as it goes up there, that might be better.
Okay. So then, come on. Hello.
This is like my internet yesterday.
This is the first illustration.
Oh, pretty.
This is the sister one from last week. But I switched the color because the last ones are more in the pinkish tone and this one is in the purple one. Using this treatment, but less of it.
Okay. So here on this guy, if we could just get a little bit,
Sorry.
oh no. Let me start again. You can just leave it where it is. Let me start again.
That wasn't me. I swear.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Once it calms down. Okay. Let's try to get some of this just in some little bits.
Okay.
So that what I get is, again, another angle of movement rather than getting something that kind of goes very horizontal and stops.
Okay.
Okay.
So Lynn, are you carving this side like her? I mean, sorry. Are you carving in like this way here, her side, and this side is straight? Is that what you want, or you want it to be more like kind of easy, like this way? The way you render looks like more easier.
I guess more easy. Sorry.
You kind of carve into her hip bone area. So
Yeah.
just make sure you feel it.
You're right. Yes, that's weird. I'll fix
Yeah,
that.
fix the flat. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then the next one is this one. It's simpler. It's a sister dress to the one I did last week where it was the mermaid theme, but I brought the ruffles to the top and kept the same treatment with
So I think one of the notes that I had on this concerned this area here. And I feel like it got it on the flat, but I feel like we still need to kind of chop off some of this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that we're going really from thin over here to thick over there.
Okay.
Because we've got the thick to thin happening inside of the dress itself, but the ruffle, if you don't do that, will just look like one big curtain band.
Got you.
Okay.
Okay, Aaron, I have a question. Like her treatment, if she, I mean, she had this like a machine stitching, right? Almost like, you know, kind of buttonhole stitching kind of ish.
Mm-hmm.
Will that make her like a puckering if she does all over? Because right now we see that's puckering here.
It could. What you might do is pre-stitch the lace and then applicate it on with a lighter hand stitch.
Okay.
So that, or a machine straight needle stitch, so that you don't get so much, because there is puckering you can see in your in your piece. That if this is done ahead of time and then laid down on this, stitched by machine, and then you cut from the back side, it'll probably be cleaner. So again,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
oh,
so
yeah.
Again, that might be something to do in studio class, so that you can get it nice and clean.
Okay.
Okay. But yes,
And then also, Songlin, I mean, the simple dress is fine, but the way you pull at the pull line on the illustration, you know, make me think that your volume on the flat should be a little bit wider. If you're going for this kind of, you know, the width, and then I think you need to add more. Yeah. If you're going by this, maybe you have to reduce the like a pull line a little bit less.
Okay.
You know, I actually think it looks nicer the way that you drew it on the illustration. So I think to add the fabric to the flat would just help it and make it nicer, because I think we all need to realize that these things are really going to take more fabric than we think to make these garments. So let's just add the fabric in now and we don't have to worry about it.
And then also one thing I like, because you use like a little blue touch on the face, that kind of goes well with your your dress. That's a reflection of whatever color you're using it. So, and then you have a black hair, and then all this thing kind of ties in together nicely. If you use different color, then it might not work. But the way you have deal with the color, that kind of works well for illustration.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Thank you. And then the last illustration is this one.
This dress came out a lot better.
Yeah.
And do you see how when I told you to add that extra piece of green down here at the bottom, like we didn't have this before, Sumi, so we just had this kind of stray piece of green hanging down here. It now looks like I've got this movement that goes from bigger to smaller to, and changing this width was good too. So that's a much prettier dress, I think, now.
I love the treatment. It's very pretty.
What happened to this? Which one is the true? Narrow like a column dress, or whatever this pull line looks like on the fuller? What's the reality?
It's like a shift dress.
Shift dress. So you're not going to have a lot of pull line here, right?
Maybe I added too much of a pull line, sorry.
But I think it looks nicer on the illustration.
Okay. Does that mean I make it a bit wider there?
Yeah, let's make it a little bit wider.
A couple more pull lines.
To walk.
Okay.
She can go upstairs now.
Okay, so that's everything.
Okay, well, that was great. You did a good job. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Can we see your lineup a second?
Oh,
Your lineup.
okay.
Not everybody, you know.
1 second.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't see that down there. Oh. Okay.
That's
Okay.
pretty.
Yeah.
So you have enough variety going on. So so like in terms of your in the merchandising, you have like kind of V-neck line 1, 2, 3, 4-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So when you develop a new idea, you need to kind of consider that what other shape do I need to do it? Because this,
Oh, yeah.
you know, see what I mean?
I didn't notice that. I was always looking at the hem lengths.
Yeah, that's why we have to check this.
Both.
You know.
Yeah, okay.
See,
I
this,
see it now. Thank you.
that's V, that's V. Even though this has this net up here, it's still a V, V, V. Okay. All right.
All
That's
right.
everybody. Yeah.
Okay.
So next is Rachel. Yeah.
Okay. After Rachel will be Emily.
Are we taking break? Which point?
Yeah, yeah, we can take a break, but after the
After
break.
Rachel?
Can you see my screen? So this is my first fabric board. I refined the fabric problem you mentioned last week.
Mm-hmm. Also, Rachel, you know, you did a sample for this group, right? The lace cutout sample.
Yeah.
You should have put it here along with your whole, you know, fabrication, so it will be more helpful.
Okay. And this is the second one. So just refine the fabric. And the sample I did, one is similar with the last week, but I like cut the edge of there, which
Black means empty, right?
Yeah.
So you should have put it on the mannequin or maybe over your thigh or something so you can see. Not a black. You're not going to put the black lining underneath, right?
It's
so
just
whatever
on
you
the table.
see, yeah. So you just put it on your lap or maybe mannequins and take a picture.
Okay. So I have this exact same lace. So if you need any more of it, I got it here at my house. But one of the things about this is, and why I gave you guys this notation in my presentation, was you see these little bits here? Yeah, we need to cut those away.
Okay.
So that they look really nice and very clean, so that when you just stitch it around, you don't have any of that stuff on there. And then what you might consider doing is, once you've stitched around this, is going from the back side and cutting out the beige fabric so that we can see through it just like this. Same thing with these guys. You got to clean up these edges. I don't want you to have anything that looks chopped off like that. If it gets chopped off, then get rid of it. And then you want to like go back inside there and cut out the gray fabric so that you don't get this kind of weird little line in there, and you don't get little weird things behind there. And if you've got a situation like this, you're like, oh, darn it. If you've got another one of these elements, cut it out by itself and lay it on top of here and kind of base the two together and then cut back the one underneath it. Just like we did in that demo that I showed you guys on YouTube, where she took the two white laces and put them together. So you don't get something that has a chunk taken out of it, okay? Because it won't look pretty.
Yeah.
So work on that in studio class.
Okay. And that is the last one. Also about the cut edge and the lace, like getting together with two fabric. And for the draping, I just did like some layer idea on the mini mannequin. So it shows different layers with the fabric, and here is the silk and lace and chemise gathering together.
Okay, could
So
you go back?
basically just hang the fabric on the mannequin, but you didn't really design your drape, right?
Can you go back to the first one for a second? Okay, so what again I want you guys to plan out, and this is what I planned out in my demo, is so you don't end up chopping off the lace. It needs to grow onto, like if you put a piece of net
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then this has the rest of what's going on with my lace. And then I cut up some pieces and I'm gonna dance them around it. Okay, so that it looks like you're making it intentional. And then you don't want this thing here where this is cut straight. You want to finish off these things and let them kind of grow onto.
Integration of two different fabrics.
Because it needs to look like it's planned. Right now it looks like you're showing me kind of swatches as they look just on a mannequin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't really consider that as a drape. We're just trying to put the fabrics together for your rendering and reference, right?
Yeah.
So you might want to try actually utilize some of your sample, place that first where you want it to be placed, and then adding some solid that has some sort of drape. That would be helpful.
Okay. So this is my first illustration. I use some idea that Jill talked about last week about the chiffons and which layering together.
And then on this one, I think I left a note regarding the triangular area. How do you kind of, see that you have a very straight line like this, but by having some of these lace, more like kind of this angle slightly, so not horizontally. And then just the way you cover some of the skin area, but still not fully covered. Maybe some of the area you need to show a little bit more skin. Then here too, you can have a little piece of your lace kind of integrating. So it's not like really triangular shaped.
Okay.
Skin. So more gently kind of disappearing rather than cut off.
Because I think you could actually cut an applique so some of it peeks around the edge of this and then some of it grows back into this. So I get a movement that kind of goes up in this direction, but I'm also getting rid of this harsh, like this is a very harsh line and you're trapping your lace inside of it. So I'm seeing this triangle point more than I'm seeing you trying to kind of diffuse it with cutting apart your lace. Okay, and make it look more organic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is the second one. I have the chiffon and also have the lace underlay the chiffon. And here is also kind of a cutout of the fabric.
So how are we supporting?
For this one, you had a specific swipe of the upper area.
How are we supporting this? Because you don't want a foundation garment in there. So what you probably need again is some sort of nude that kind of comes in here a bit to hold that lace and it's just sheer with these straps on top of it. Because you can't put a bustier underneath there, it'll be too hard and too fitted. It won't be easy.
Yeah, it doesn't mean to like, it shouldn't be like a fitted around here, it's loose garment, but still in order to secure your lace, I think the way that Aaron explains to you, that's good. And then this one, you have a specific swipe, so you should have put your swipe right there so it'll be more understandable. But the shape looks kind of pretty. Aaron, what do you think about this line?
It needs some follow through. So I feel like if it doesn't somehow kind of creep up into here someplace, like maybe even you get a little bit of that blue as it goes on top of that net so that it feels like it's wrapping around, it's coming up underneath here and then it's going this way. Maybe even there's a little bit of the blue kind of creeping out here and you've got again like that mesh that's underneath there to support it. So we get the blue feeling like it's getting up into here because what's happening is I'm getting this is one garment and this is another garment because I've got none of this in here.
So
and that waistline is really separating the two.
And do I need to put the lace under layer, like the different layer? Do I need to put the blue lace continue for this?
you don't have to put the lace here because you have a lace upper area.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like a limitation that, you know, you have to use like 70% or 50%. It's not like a Baby Meister. We have to use like a 70% of the dress out of the lace. But this one, you have a lot more like a focal point upper area. If you want to go for a little bit more of the like a sheer layer kind of gradation, like your wave, you know, that's fine. But what I'm looking at here, this line here is kind of strong. You didn't really go for like a small to big either. So it's just like a big chunk. So if you want to go bigger and then getting smaller, and then that's your solid fabric, right? And then you're putting your lace over. So maybe some cutout, and then you will some of this, you know, lace could be overlapped more like here. And I'm talking in the front as well. And then some of the background need to cut out. So you might need to show some maybe skin. So you have to have a little bit more like a blending on top of what the Aaron was kind of suggesting. So it'll be more naturally kind of flow better rather than creating the stopping point for unwanted focal point.
Okay.
I could wish your back area didn't look exactly like your front. It looks like she's got a bust in back and a bust in front. You know, can this kind of disappear a bit more so that then we can open up this back?
I think from here, it needs to be more like a skinny strap from, because it's, you know, the skinnier rather than repeating the same look. So you will see more of the lace piece here to the front.
Okay.
Rachel, for your illustration, especially for the skirt hem area, I see that you use just one same brush tool for the every line. I rather use this as some skinny, you know, more kind of pen drawing line instead of something that looks kind of very graphic. Yeah, because I mean, your transparency rendering looks very good, but your line for the, you know, the skirt hem make your illustration looks a little too graphic. So find some different pen tool. Okay, that will help a lot.
And this is my last one. So I have the skin tone chiffon underlays, and I have the green chiffon cut with the edge, which I try to follow the lines over there. And I have the lace with the chiffon under it, but you can also see through, like you can also see the body through it. And here is just have silk underlay the chiffon.
Okay, so is this area here lace? And this is lace?
Yeah.
Okay, so it would be nice if from the back, instead of this stopping right here, this kind of came like that, and this, so that then it finished off the underarm towards the front. Okay, so this feels like it's wrapping around to the front. This goes to there. Because otherwise you've got a straight edge on your lace, and, you know, just doing a baby hem on it is going to look kind of ugly and thick. And unless you've cut it out and then it's supported again by some sort of net, if that's what the net is here in the center, this is net. Unless there's more net for it to kind of like be attached to, then it looks bad to have it just be that straight line.
Right.
Okay.
Just be careful about your, you know, dark line here, because which is a lot darker than outside, but that's more like you overlap. You're not gonna see this line so clearly because there's an overlapping of this lace over the solid, right?
Yeah.
So your line shouldn't be so like, you know, darker. You need to be a little bit more, you know, delicate. I think that's a kind of consistent kind of problem issue that you have. I mean, it's better than last week in terms of your line, how you deal with the line, but you gotta have a little system. What's gonna be need? What's the darkest line that I need to put it on your flag? What's the lightest? You know, you have to kind of do your system like 1 to 4 different kind of line if you want to be more specific. But you kind of go up, but you're using the dark line just randomly. It will really confuse your audience eyes where to look at. But it looks better on your illustration, but on your flag, it's confusing because your thickness is not supposed to be the way it should be.
Okay.
So, Rachel,
Yeah.
where is her bust? Because This line right here looks like the side of her rib cage rather than looking like her bust is in here someplace. Okay, so you need to make sure that on your figure and on your flat, you know where that is so that we know that we're getting the coverage we need to get for that. Because also she looks like she's got no chest. It's the same sort of issue we had with some other stuff, you know, getting that chest in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Leah, maybe that's something you can help her with.
Yes. More sexier. Like,
sexy.
Not droopy bust.
No.
Perky and a right place.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So we should take a break for 15 minutes, come back at 9:30. We'll start with Emily, and then we'll go on to the rest of Sumi students because the rest of mine aren't here.
Okay, then we'll do June after that.
Okay, so let's go on break and come back in 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
So this is from one of the illustrations I did, but I didn't cut the fabric. I tried to make it look like it.
Okay. So it's, I think we could still work on this one to kind of integrate the lace a little bit more into the solid fabric. It's just kind of in a godet there. And either we're going to do a layer or we're going to cut an intricate hem and have it be the next piece that falls down from there, or you're going to do the net thing that we did in class and kind of blend it to the net and then put some pieces on top of it. So I think we just need to keep working on this drape so that we can see a better integration between lace and solid fabric. Okay, let's see your illustrations.
The color is a bit too bright.
Yeah, it looks a lot darker than probably the color palette that we're dealing with. It's a pretty dress though. I think we're gonna probably need some sort of seams that come front and back. And then we've got gathering around the back here, and we've got it flat up in here. So either it's flat both front and back, or you add some gathering to the front a little bit for some of that fullness, but it looks weird to have it be flat in the front and gathered in the back. And I think we can be a little bit more delicate about the way it opens in the back there. It's definitely going to be like some sort of bias placket. It's a bias strip. And then you're going to put like buttons and bias loops. Because what we really don't want is a very flat, big placket and then big buttons going through here, because it'll be wobbly and it'll be hard to make the buttonholes with, because it has to be really super fused in order to make the silk not be wobbly or buckly. Okay.
And also, Emily, just check your little proportion, because on your illustration it's longer and then this little bit shorter. Now, one of the reasons, I know there's a differences between the realistic, like a template for the flat, and then your figure is so different. But you know, the width of this lace, or the way it plays, or I mean, it's a little bit more higher and then a lot more wider than what you have it on the illustration. So if you can drop it a little bit lower, and then see that you have a little bit shorter front in the illustration, but not as much, right? But here you kind of hike up like this. That will change the proportion. So you make a decision which one you want to go for. This one is a little less curvy. This one is more curvy with like a center point pointing towards like a top area that makes the whole length shorter than what it should be. And also the placement of these compared to what you have, this one looks more higher, but that makes the whole proportion a little bit tweaked.
Yeah, I think the flat is the nicer one, to tell you the truth. It's a prettier proportion. So try and aim for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So maybe this illustration could do with either a side view or a back view too, because the back view has the cowl, which is very pretty. And I feel like these ruffly bits get to be bigger, so they help kind of like fall into the skirt, and these get kind of small, so it gives us kind of too much negative space in here. And I feel like you've got lots of fullness happening here at the bottom, but it doesn't go up into the actual body or skirt of the dress. So I think it needs to, like, you need to drag those lines up further so we feel like we've got more fullness, and I'm not getting any of that here. It looks very flat. Okay.
I
and
wish
then
you can use a little bit more of the lace. Right now, I'm just seeing it right in the middle, the little yoke area. That's it, right? You didn't use anywhere else, right? Is that right? Or am I not seeing correctly?
That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
I think you should use a little bit more.
So let's get some of that lace bumped up against the edge of these ruffles. So it's kind of peeking out from there. So that kind of helps clean that up. And let's get some of it happening in this neckline, because this looks very basic sloper. And if I get some of it kind of coming underneath the cowl and around the neckline here, it's a little bit better. Maybe even you put some for these seam lines to help kind of cover that. Okay. We just need more of it integrated into there. Okay. So again, maybe this one could benefit by a back view, because you've got really the drama of this garment is happening back in there. So we could see more of that. And if this is going to be lace, which I think it is because I've got the net here, I need to see the lace pattern. And then
Is
I need
this
to...
your drape, Emily, the one you draped today?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe you should have a picture on that too.
Yeah, but I think this is how you can improve your drape, is to show us that there's lace inside of there, and then you cover over the hard edge, this hard line, with some of the lace, so it looks like it's appliqued on top of it. And again, maybe you get a little bit of it peeking out through there, so that it looks like this kind of creeps around under the arm and is coming through, and we're seeing some of it, so it goes that way.
Mm-hmm.
That would be pretty. Okay.
I think that's it.
Was that 3 illustrations?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do anything with your treatment at all?
I did a treatment of the dress.
Okay, so definitely put the elements of this in there and adding the little lace bits on the side. Put this all in a file for your studio teacher so they can help you figure this out, so that, you know, this spiral goes from kind of like bigger to smaller in places, and you get the lace that's kind of bumped up against it. And then you've got the satiny fabric that, is this fabric matte and shine? Is it like satin back crepe? Yes? Okay, so maybe in your designs too, you use a satin shiny side and a crepe non-shiny side, so you get that happening in your designs as well. So that might be pretty. Okay.
I have one in this, but I don't think it
Okay.
shows very well in the picture.
Yeah, this just looks like a stripe of sheer fabric set between 2 solids. So we have to have something that's showing that we're using our lace some way. So again, I think maybe doing that godet and that ruffle is the two things that you want to show your studio teacher, and then put in the design that goes with it, but add the corrections we're talking about right now, bumping up the lace over it, making it look like it's an applique so that they know how to handle that for you, okay? Okay, all right, so we're going to Sumi's.
Yeah, and then June, right?
Yeah.
Leah, yeah, you have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
So if you add the original swipe of your idea on your illustration, I can make a correction because some details are not defined, like drapes and stuff. I'll make a correction on your illustration, okay?
This one is my the first practical, and and sorry, I didn't feel very well these days, so had a hard time to speak. And this one is my first illustration for the first practical, which like incorporates the green with the pink fabric using the laces to give some like transparency to the different colors. And this one is the second fabrical and the second illustration of the second fabrical.
So she looks a bit chunky through the center.
Yes.
Right through here, she's got a lot of fullness, like it's big gathers or something like that. So I'm not even sure whether just to give yourself some fit, take some fabric out, you add another seam, and that itself with some little gathers, so that you don't have to take all of it in that one seam here. So this can get to be less because it seems it's very chunky. Same thing with the back. You would get some sort of, throw it off. So you can spread it around and it doesn't get to be so big and bulky.
Oh, okay.
The bottom part rendering is really pretty.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Really pretty. And then maybe one thing about this girl is illustration-wise, because your hair, I don't know, you're doing the two different hues, which is fine. But when you're adding your blue, like a bluish grayish color, you just put it like a one heavy tone. Maybe her hair should be a little bit more disappearing into the like lightest color or something. Because whenever I'm looking at here with this has on it, my eye goes to her hair first because it's heavier. Sometimes you have to make it lighter so it doesn't look like really heavy stuff.
Okay.
You might want to take off some of this lace that's in her chest to make the bust area a little nicer, and that way you won't need to stick a piece of net in here to really hold this up. If this lace, I don't know, is that this lace?
Yeah, but because this lace is, the size is that much, so I'm not sure if I can just cut it out.
I'm sure you can cut it. I don't think that's a problem, but if it's not a thicker, chunkier lace, it won't stand up, so then you will need to stick some sort of mesh or net inside of there to hold this up, but this is all mesh. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll need support, because if it's very delicate, it's just going to flop forward.
I think that lace is quite thick.
Yeah,
okay, if it's quite thick, then you don't
kind
need
of stable, yeah.
But I think you definitely should cut some of it away.
Okay, yeah. And it's the third one.
Oh no, are you okay?
I hope I'm fine.
Uh-oh. I hope you're fine too.
Okay, something about this area looks like her ribcage is going. If you want to make it a little bit looser, you can make it looser, but like if you're comparing to other side, looks like some structure is kind of, maybe the way you drew your drape on the body, that's kind of confusing.
Okay. And here is the drape, and I make some
revise on the samples. I cut it, for the sample, I cut it out and then I put the tool under it so I can just lay on top and show more skins on there.
You cut out the background so it looks lighter. It's good. So next thing that what you need to do, just I think kind of you did it here. I don't know, I cannot see clearly, but you need to cut some of the piece and kind of do a little bit of the like little things growing out of it, like a scatter a little bit rather than just one big chunk here. So a little bit more integration could be helpful.
I could wish that you would catch this little bit of this stuff as color that got sprayed, like somebody was just talking about those little bits.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just these little like darker areas, because then it would relate so much more to what we're seeing with white and then going to blue.
Okay, yes.
Okay. It's a nice start.
It's pretty on the gum, I mean on the mannequin. It's more integration.
Thank you. And that's it.
Okay.
You don't die yet.
Okay, rest while you watch the other people.
Okay, so we only have left Sokom, right? And then we did everybody. Sokom, you're the last one.
So let's go with this one. So at this, my first mood board, and then what I really trying to picture is this the earth over here, and then there's a white lace like overlay on top of it. So I'm trying to depicting this area, but I feel like it's starting to become choppy for this first look.
Then how do you think you can solve the problem of the chap? At the bottom part, you know, it's fine. I like the bottom part, but this middle area, I mean, with the green bra, because you're putting this dark color underneath, right? Under the green, right? Green lace for the cup, right?
Yeah, it's a chiffon.
So that's a chiffon, the darker color?
Yeah, it's too dark now. Yeah, it's a chiffon.
I mean, this one is a chiffon?
Yeah.
So you're putting the chiffon underneath and the lace overlay, right? So maybe when you put your lace, rather than really doing the really clean cut like this way, you might need to do a little kind of cut out the piece, bigger piece, whatever, and then you put it on top of the chiffon. So it doesn't look like a structure in a bra, I mean, which it doesn't look like it actually here. It looks like you have a chiffon under piece, and then you kind of adding like a little piece of your applique to cover the bust area, so you will have a negative space. Right now, if I'm just looking at here, it looks like she's wearing those peacock color kind of bra. Like really like, it's just like out of the, you know, those lace over the like a padded area or something. So it doesn't give me the easiness of that one, but the bottom part is kind of nice. Now, what about the center area? Are you using this lace? Because you didn't indicate what you have used. It's kind of hard to tell.
So the
what is that
here? The middle here is this lace over the chiffons. I want to depict this picture around here. It's like overlay, and then some of the brown showing.
So your chiffon is starting from here below?
From here, yeah, from here.
From here, so you're attaching your chiffon to
another lace.
I think you have to put it. Yeah, I think it's hard to kind of put your chiffon in the middle of when your top lace is transparent. So you need to think about if the top layers are transparent like a lace, one of these lace. Now what's underneath, where you want to start your chiffon. Maybe not shouldn't be from here, maybe should be a little bit upper area. So you still have a little bit of transparency, but not as much as it showing the midrib area as like, you know, like a blocked. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
The basic idea, because I like the gradation at the bottom, but in the middle, as you're saying, the upper area looks kind of choppy because your gradation wasn't really done it like a proper way.
Yeah, so your shapes look different from that center section in the skirt. It's much more flattened out, and it's steeper in the other one. And then that little sheer section is so small and insignificant. If somehow that middle shape got a little bit smaller, so you can kind of move things up and make that shear a little bit more important. That's like a statement, but you're not really making much of one with that tiny piece that's right there.
Does the illustration look better than the flat?
No, I actually think part of the flat looks better than the illustration, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
That has a more statement. If you want to have something like maybe more, you know, like clearly showing rather than is this like a mistake or something, you know, and then you have more kind of line going more like that way. But here it kind of goes almost like a W line, but that's one thing. And then, but I would say the Socom, your illustration itself looks better. I mean, like I like your face. I like the little kind of very, the minimal kind of way of approaching your face that I like that too. But other thing that you have to be careful, not only the proportion of the lace, how you place it, look at your bust compared to this. Which one are we doing? So that this one is more like kind of sharp B and then your point is a little bit higher, but here gets like normal bra kind of way. So you have to kind of make a decision which one works better. But when it comes to blending shape a little bit more, I think your flat is better. So based on this, I think you have to kind of readjust your shape on your figure, and then like like blending your the color a little bit more.
Okay.
So you've got lace happening here, and this is my side seam. I have to have lace that kind of comes towards the back, and then this white comes underneath that because I got to wrap this around to the back somehow. Otherwise, what you're doing is chopping it at the side seam and dropping it right to this point here.
Mm-hmm. So match up those like line that, I mean, the white line is actually the black line on your illustration, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't really flow. Like one more step, you have to kind of watch out carefully. The overall illustration itself it's improving, so that's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then please indicate like, yeah, on your illustration, please indicate like put a number on your swatches so we know which goes which, you know.
Okay. I actually have a little trouble designing in this group, so I only do this for one this week, and then I go to the second one. I should have attached the flat, the swipe for the upper areas over here that I'm trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And
so from this area, are you putting some sort of like pleating or shearing or no? Because I don't see it here. You have this shearing coming out of here, which is here, I see it. But what about this middle section? Is this more like a flat or more like your illustration?
More like illustration. I forgot the gathering on the flat.
Which is out of chamois or chiffon?
It's a chamois, and then the bottom is a chiffon.
Which is actually maybe without the shearing might be better, because out of the chamois, it might be like a very like bulky, and then with a lot of like shearing, it's good to have the shearing in this area, but maybe the upper area, her stomach area might be better just if you keep it clean. What do you think, Aaron?
I'm about to comment. Okay, so this area, fine to shear because it releases like that. This area, bad to shear because I'm controlling it here, and then nothing's going to be released here because I'm sewing in another piece of fabric. So this would be better to be flat, like a bias dress is, and then this, because it's going to be released from your control piece, is better to have the shearing at.
Right.
Okay.
So that's easy fixing.
Yeah.
But looks like you have some issue with your placement compared to your, look at here and look at here. So which is better? Your illustration placement is better, or your flat placement is better for when it comes to lace? Soko? Yeah, it might be a little bit heavy because if you imagine that this dark lace kind of coming up to here, kind of covering all this thing, it might be a little bit heavy. So go buy your illustration and fix this one a little bit lower.
So it looks a little strange to me in this bust area, like the negative shapes that you're creating is creating kind of a pinched bust here and kind of a droopy bust here. So you always want to make that kind of a cat eye shape is like the prettiest, like again, I say a demi cup bra. sorry, I'm not making this as pretty as I would like to. Okay, but when it has sort of this oval cat eye shape, it looks nicer than when you're trying to kind of scrunch it up there.
Do you mean like making the space bigger?
Well, just make it more attractive. And like I say, it's when you look at a demi-cup bra, that has the shape that, so look at some lingerie, I think, so you can see what kind of shapes they make in the bust area, so you don't get kind of uneven looking busts, because one looks pinched and small, the other one looks kind of droopy and saggy.
Welcome, you have a swipe of this one, so you have to kind of compare back and forth. I mean, you don't have to go exactly like your swipe. What's the difference is, like, I know the one that you have to swipe is more like abstract kind of way, but the way you highlight your bust looks like, you know, like wrong kind of bra, but on your swipe, remember that there's a little bit of the like lace interfere with the shapes. So some of the small lace will be covering that area. So it doesn't look like a defining your bra shape kind of wrong and like a mistake kind of way. That's why Aaron is pointing out that your, you know, bust point is kind of bust shape. It looks like, you know, cat eye, but on your swipe, it wasn't really about the like cat eye shapes. I want you to check your swipe one more time and then work off that, okay? But the look itself is easy shaped. I think that's good, yeah.
This is the one, and well, the same thing. These two fabrics, when it's on actual fabric I have, they make a very good trend. But now I feel like it started getting choppy down over here, and then I was thinking of just making it all the way here and then change to this lace at the back instead.
So look at what I just drew on there. You've got a nice curve that's real pretty on your flat, and then it goes kind of square and angled on your figure. So again, your figure is very straightforward. You could just take your flat and kind of lay it on top of there and adjust it for the shading to make it look like it's got the movement. But I feel like you're missing something between the flat proportion and the figure proportion.
And then regarding your lace placement, if you're looking at your back as well, so like on the front, her right side, you don't have any lace. Oops, sorry, hold on. You don't have any lace here, but you end up with the lace on her right side. So which means your figure, I mean, on illustration is correct, which means you need to kind of build it up, just like illustration. But this area, you need to think about it. Is this a better way, or you need to cut away a little bit? This looks too sharp, and this one looks a little bit like a squarish. So you might need to go kind of in between. But they're like technically, because of D, you need to fill up here. So which means your illustration here is correct way.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I like the idea that you just mentioned that this looks choppy, so you want to continue this lace all the way here. I think that'll be nice, because you have the very like a straight line here. It didn't really like, you know, overlap it like, you know, kind of gradually, just chop it off. If that happens, I will just, you know, do as a continuous like same lace. When it comes to the upper area, you might need to do a little bit more of the integration as well, so it doesn't look like they just start like, you know, as a seam line.
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course, because the fullness, you know, the under base, I mean, you need to have some sort of things going on, you know, more seam. Same thing here in the front. Because the fullness is nice. The dress is moving around her body, so that's good. Nice cleavage happening there, that too. That's nice. Sexy cleavage, that's good. Okay.
I have the fourth one with this like asymmetrical seam line. And for the back, I'm planning to make this one. I only have one lace with this dark tone, but I was trying to integrate two like scallop edge together. maybe these two make it might have a better transitions in it.
So if you imagine your side view, you're saying this like a medium green lace stops here. And then if I'm joining them together here, and then you're saying the frontal part is cream color, and then all of a sudden you will have the dark color lace happening, which is this, right? And then your lace, the medium color lace will be flowing to the back here. So this joint area is kind of awkward. So either you do extend your white area a little bit toward the side seam, blending into here, and then adding your black lace. You know, my drawings kind of very abstract right now. But you have to kind of imagine your side because there's such a contrast from this dark green to your lighter green. So something you need to consider. Then one more question about your bust. Which bust are we doing? Are we doing this? Are we doing that?
Yeah, that's why I drew those lines there, because it's longer on the side seam. It's shorter on the longer on the side seam on the flat, shorter on the figure. And then the lace piece that comes underneath it is at an angle on the flat, and it's almost directly horizontal on the figure. And you're gonna need princess seams.
So
I don't know, it's actually, I like the shorter one.
Mm-hmm. The shorter one looks like it's more fitted around bust line. This one looks like a little bit wise, you know, her bust, I mean, her shape of the ribcage might be like here. It's kind of, you're making kind of loose. Those two are the two different silhouettes. So just check what you have so far. If you have more like a loose silhouette, you can make it more fitted around here. And then, you know, more like a smaller bust. If you have a lot of fit one, you can kind of go a little bit loose, relaxed silhouette, depends on, I mean, I don't know which swipe that you have used, but either way, you have to kind of make them kind of speak to each other, and then it's like a same kind of way, reflection or flat to figure, same way.
Okay. Because the other thing that's very different to me is what's happening in here and what's happening in here. Because of the way that the one on the figure is set up and is smaller, it probably needs some sort of little bra underneath here to make this happen. With these deeper lines and this deeper line here, that's what's going to happen with something that doesn't have a foundation, and that's why lingerie and bias cut dresses look like this, is because there's nothing under there to support it, so that's why it gets this sort of shape so it can be loose. So to me, even though you like this other one, this seems like the correct way you would drape it because of the lack of no bra. There'd be no bra underneath there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, still you can do the loose, but make this cup a little bit smaller than what you have. Doesn't have to really fitted cup, but still keeping the shape loose, just like a flat, but just dropping the shape of the bra shape rather than like a sweetheart shape. It could be like cut out a little bit more.
Yeah, because what makes it work in the flat is that the V is so deep that you can be longer on the side seam because we've cut out stuff in the chest. So if that chest had the same V as your illustration, but had the same side seam on your flat, it would look matronly. So that's the only reason that's working on your flat, is because you made the V so deep.
Also, for these lace, should I change this lace out, because between these two, there's another lace in the middle. It was this lace, and then I feel like it's a big jump between these two laces.
Yeah, it looks like a jump. So you need to kind of, because you have a lighter one, medium tone, and then darker one. You have 4 different kind of lace, ivory to kind of this one that's kind of combination of the green and ivory, and then the touch of the gold. And then you have the next color is your green color, and then you have to have the darkest. So you need to kind of have maybe the one with the little gold touch that need to be in a place in between. So it's kind of gradually getting darker.
To me, Sokam, the one that was in the prior illustration that you're asking about, the one that's here, yep. This lace, you need to cut pieces of this up. And then if you go to the next illustration, and then you need to like place those pieces on top of.
Applique on top of the lace.
Applique, so that actually it's growing into this white lace. So then that helps transition into these greens that are up there.
So applique lace on top of the lace.
Yeah, because right now you're dealing as it is in bands of the one lace. You're not combining some laces together to help give yourself the gradation that happens in this kind of area of your drawing. Right now you're dealing with mostly this sort of thing, this sort of thing, and this sort of thing, which are all done in solids, but you're not dealing with this guy, which is the transition. Okay.
Okay. So basically, I was behind, so I'm trying to catch up with the work. I have my draping idea, but I haven't started yet. I was thinking of maybe with the studio class.
And then you haven't done any like samples yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay. So there's a lot of things you have to catch up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's it, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, Aaron, I think he's the last one, so.
Yeah, okay. So what we're gonna do now is go into our own Zoom sessions. I'd like Ray to be first at right now.
Finish record.
Oh, sorry, yes, stop recording.
It's
Thank
too long.
you so much. Okay, so Ray is gonna be now until 10:35, and then at 10:35 is Natalie. Then after lunch is Solene at 12, and at 12:30 is Emily. And then I've got the rest of the afternoon to deal with the people who's turned in work but aren't here. Okay?
So who will go to Nicole's Zoom after lunch? Only 3 of you guys or everybody? Leah, how many are?
For those of you who wanted to have want to make an appointment with Nicole last time, the list of people that's come first give, you guys have to go and see her. But from now on, Nicole will be with us for every afternoon, like 3 hours. But she will have her own Zoom room. I just put her number here, so write down her number because her number is not on the syllabus. So she will be here in her own Zoom room. So just like my room, you go there and then you can wait in her waiting room and then do your work. And so you can bring your own fabric and then ask her if there's any Procreate lace technical question or any help they can ask. Okay.
Can you raise up your hand who's going to Nicole's room so we know where you are?
Okay,
Natalie, Isabella,
yeah,
and Emily, those 3.
Huh? Okay. And also, you guys can, I'm gonna work on your illustration, go and check, especially today, I'll just do at least one, like a part of your section and then, pop up your rendering so you guys can see it. But maybe afternoon for sure, I'll see, what's it? Juan and Genesis, like you 2 guys I need to see in person. So maybe, sometime after 12, you guys can Zoom in. Maybe Juan, help, Sumi, can you see Juan before lunch?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have everybody, my team, I'm gonna put you guys in the breakout room and then I'm gonna see maybe before lunch, I will see Quan and Genesis. In that way, Leah can work with those 2 after lunch. Okay, and then everybody else just working consistently, like correcting whatever that's comment that we have give you while you're waiting for your turn.
So Emily, if you're going to make an appointment with Nicole to see her, I'd make it after 1 o'clock. That way we at least have 25 minutes to talk before you're gonna speak to her. Otherwise, Natalie's good because Natalie's in my first session. Okay?
Yes. I'll open my Zoom. If anybody have any question, you can email or you can knock my door or anything. Okay, so I'll see you. Are we gonna meet at 2 o'clock?
At 2 o'clock, yes. We always meet at 2 o'clock.
Okay. All right. See you guys.
Bye. See you soon. Come to my Zoom, my apartment Zoom.
Yeah. Write down Nicole's number before we close it. It's gonna be gone.
Okay, so Ray is first. Okay, hello.
Right.
Go through the pro keys.
Okay.
Here's the first one.
Okay.
I wouldn't do, this would be like fabric, not like this.
Yeah.
Like that might be fabric, but it looks kind of like leathery to me. But yeah, it wouldn't be that crazy.
It looks like a leather.
Yeah.
So what's happening up there that's very pretty is something happening in here, which I feel like we need to make sure that that goes into
all
the
the way
bottom.
down.
Yeah. It doesn't have to go quite that far, but just down into this so we see it. So it makes this pretty shape because it also allows for the bust volume that's inside of there too. Okay.
Yeah.
And then always give me the sort of dotted line version of how much extra we're going to get for all of those layers. But that's a very pretty dress, I think. And it looks like,
kind of like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
It looks like it's a different neckline than what we've had before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've had this kind of haltery sort of neckline. That's very pretty.
Yeah, I was trying to find different necklines this week, but it's also like a sister. They're so like, we've already gone through so many, but it's kind of like a sister dress to one of the earlier dresses that I did.
Okay.
So, yeah. It's this one, which I'll have to refine a little bit because I don't know how much I like the shape, but
it's a little weird is if this is lace, it's kind of a lacy crotch. So it doesn't necessarily need to be lace in there. Like it's applique, it looks like on the edges of this stuff. This can be layers of like a chiffon or a georgette or something like that that helps create those colors from your group. If it goes with that beach scene with the pink and the sand color and the green, you can actually kind of layer some of that stuff, and that'll give us the modesty. We don't necessarily need that in the crotch area. It's pretty otherwise.
Have this one. So I like this layering here. I was trying to do it with different laces.
So it's kind of a blouse that makes the bust area, and then it's a ruffle like the skirt.
Mm-hmm. So and there would be like lace, organza lace.
This is a pretty detail, this fine bias that makes this little bow that happens there. I'd keep that. I think that is pretty, because that could also lead its way into a more strappy, open sort of back that comes from this, rather than coming from the cream area. It could come from this black area.
Okay.
And so that gives you a different type of halter neck. It's very pretty.
Great. This one. I need to change the shape of this a little so that it goes down.